I am Mark Greenstein of Ivy Bound, and in a prior video, I mentioned types of colleges, and I classified the first as the category not that competitive of a school, one that almost assuredly you can get into based on your grades. So, where does the elite but, quote, test optional school fit in there? Well, for most people, it is a competitive school. You do need to really stand out, and if they're truly test optional, I'll get to that in a sec. If they're truly test optional, then you only have grades and extracurric, and you can't do much with grades, okay? Even in regular schooling, after this spring, you have at most one more semester, and those of you looking to go early decision don't have any other semester. But what can you do this spring and summer? You can add that dimension, and I mentioned it in another video about extracurricular excellence. And I'm not talking about sports. I'm talking you develop something with leadership. You can lead almost any sort of cause. There are many that deserve to be led because of the COVID crisis. There's an element of entrepreneurship, which in itself is a good thing that appeals to admissions officers. And you just might make some money. You might start a business that lasts throughout college. We at Ivy Bound have tutors who help kids guide themselves to these extra experiences that will look good on a college application. Now, let's talk test optional. There is a wide variety of schools that call themselves test optional. Some truly are. Some are not test optional when it gets down to it for a student in a strong suburban school who has good but not the best grades. That's a student who is likely to get beat out by somebody with the best grades, even if the SAT score is not so important to that school. You need that extra. And that student, if showing an SAT that is excellent on a test optional school, it can't hurt you. Okay? It's not going to, they're not going to say, ooh, she sent us an SAT score. Bad. The humans see it. The humans who see many kids that they then put on a bubble can't help but notice an element of excellence. And when it comes down to admitting those last 50 kids for the last, say, 20 places, it is something that needs to stand out. Once again, I'd like to see that standout be something you can accomplish that is surefire, the leadership experience, the entrepreneurial. But the SAT can't hurt you. And let's say you don't get in to that college. The SAT or ACT can certainly help you at the other colleges that are not test optional. Test optional is a phrase that many elite schools have used to woo people who were otherwise afraid of applying. Decent credentials from underrepresented groups. So they wanted to have rural Nebraskans come. They wanted to have underprivileged minority kids come. And so those who were under the guidance of counselors who would say, oh, you have no chance to get into Trinity or Wesleyan. You did have a chance if they called themselves test optional and were sincere about being test optional for those kids. But many of those schools are not sincere when it comes to suburbanites in good schools that need to show something more. And those who don't better have that 4.0. I, this year, would not be using my early decision chit on a test optional school, because you're going to have so many choices in the regular round after things get sorted out next March and April with kids who accept, kids who are afraid to accept, because of lingering COVID fears. Schools that might not even call themselves regular campuses come that time. ED this year, 2020, I think should be used only at a test optional school for which you have a very little chance, and thus it's a real reach. I discuss these things on Sunday nights with parents. You're welcome to join. Contact us for the information code at ivybound.net. I talk a little, I listen to you a lot, and occasionally shed some wisdom from 30 plus years of experience. Happy to be sharing this little bit now. Thank you for your time. I'm Mark Greenstein.